Good morning, everyone. This is T3 Live Editor-in-Chief John Darcy here to bring you the morning call. So yesterday we got the long-anticipated S&P new highs. It seemed like this week everyone was fixated on whether or not the S&P was going to break above 1850, close above 1850, because we broke above it on Tuesday or Monday. But yesterday we finally got the close above. For the first part of the week, what we got was some strength in the morning. It looked like we were going to break above highs. Everybody was fixated on it. Then we would fade in the afternoon. But if that was your mentality, you miss a lot of great action in individual stocks. And it's really encouraging to see the market be sluggish, the market be lethargic, and us to really get nice volatility in stocks. I don't think traders could ask for any better environment than that. But yesterday, we can take a look at the chart of the SPY. We finally did get that close above, so that could open the door as far as the indices go to a little bit more momentum to the upside. And one thing we talked about as the week wore on was the fact that the banks were not participating in the rally. And if the market, the indices were really going to, and the S&P in particular, were going to break to new highs, the banks were going to have to at least participate and not be a weight on the market. And yesterday they at least participated. They didn't post any huge relative strength or anything like that, but at least the XLF matched the gain in the S&P, maybe slightly exceeded it. As you can see, got back above its 821 and 50-day moving averages, did the XLF. And if it can get above this little, I guess you could call it a flag or some sort of consolidation here. As you can see, it's shown a lot of relative weakness to the S&P as it's pretty significantly off its highs, while the S&P just made a new closing high. But if it can break above this little, you could call it maybe a descending triangle or a flag or whatever, if it could get some momentum and get back up toward highs, I think that could really light a fire under the market and allow the S&P to get a little bit of legs above new highs and really stretch out. But like I said, there's been terrific action in individual stocks. I think we've done a great job on off the charts on the price point sheet on Scott's morning note of highlighting names that are in play and that are moving. And first we'll start in tech. We'll just do a run through of some big names there. One of the names that hasn't been moving and hasn't been one of the names that you really should have been focused on is Apple, but some people are starting to focus on it a little bit now after its move yesterday. Apple woke up in a steep downtrend here, but yesterday gained about 2% to break above that downtrend, and today it's up a few dollars, could be back above its 8 and 21-day moving averages. So this is one on a break of this steep downtrend, perhaps to get some legs. It did fill this gap, which is a somewhat bullish thing to do after the big earnings gap down, after they announced the big share buyback. It was able to fill that gap. It still has this downtrend line to contend with. So if it does get in the upside, that's your level to watch for any sort of intermediate term composure change. But right now this is just a short-term trade. We'll see if it morphs into anything bigger than that. Just running through some other big names. Google just continues to stair step higher, not really give you a way in. Just holding above its 8-day moving average like a very strong stock would do. Some people focus on Amazon, sort of out of this lower level type pattern. Sort of not really a contrarian play, but one that's not on active traders the front of their radar because of the fact that it's a lower level trade that pulled off after a weak earnings report, but got some momentum above there, now holding above its 8-day moving average. See if it can climb back above the 21-day and potentially get back up towards the gap. Just something to keep an eye on. Tesla, obviously been a big focus this week. Tesla skeptics have long basically said that as a car company, Tesla is extremely overvalued. The market cap of the stock is over $1 million per car sold, which is just insane considering the margins that the other car companies get. But what Tesla bulls have always contended is that Tesla is more than just a car company. Elon Musk is a big-time innovator. Not only is he going to bring us into the frontier of electric cars, but he's also going to tackle other big issues within our society through Tesla. And we got proof of that this week as the company announced they're building the Gigafactory to manufacture their own batteries. Not only will it decrease their battery cost by as much as 30%, but the batteries could also be used in other industries, so it could be another source of big-time cash flow for Tesla. And what you saw was a huge move on that, squeezing the shorts. Still a lot of shorts sticking around in here, stubborn shorts that are holding on for dear life. And you got a huge move higher, and then we've held higher. This morning, Tesla's down a few dollars. It's down around 249, so see if it continues to hold up in this upper level flag. But if we do continue to base up here, I think you could get another leg of a squeeze if you get above 260 or the pivot high here, the all-time high is 265. If we hold and get above there, I know the psychology tells you this has come a long way and it's hard to chase, but it can squeeze with that big short interest, and I think it's one that should definitely continue to be on your radar. There's been several laggard names too. We've had a lot of leadership in the market. You've had sectors like the XLF not performing well, but you've had a lot of leadership. We've also had a lot of laggard stocks that have perked up based on strong earnings reports or news or stuff like that. And I'll go through a few of those that people have been focusing on in the room. Zynga is the one that we put on off the charts out of this sort of triangle pattern that formed after it broke above pivot highs back from November, and it continues to hold higher. Still above the 8-day moving average. As long as it holds above the 8-day, shorts are still going to be anxious. They're still going to be on their toes and looking to get out if we make another pivot high, and it's healthy to see it hold up here despite some choppy action, some lethargic action in the indices this week. Zynga is acting well. BBRY, another one with huge short interest. You know, the WhatsApp $19 billion price tag sort of opened eyes given the fact that BlackBerry was a less than $5 billion market cap company. They do have BBM in addition to their handset business, so some people thought that this could squeeze, and that's what we saw. We put this one off the charts as well. Scott traded the position, I know. I haven't been involved with it, but it's gapped up, continued, and then put in a nice upper level flag, sort of like you've seen in Tesla. It's obviously not the same caliber of stock as Tesla, but it's holding up in a nice tight bull flag here. If it can break above this pivot high here, 1085 is the previous pivot high, and then the one from earlier this week, 1090. Those are the levels to watch. If it gets above there, I think you could continue to see BlackBerry squeeze. And then this is sort of a one-off type play, but one to keep an eye on now to see if it holds higher. I know Scott got long the calls prior to earnings for JCPenney, and when you have sentiment that reaches such climactic levels in a stock like in JCPenney, everyone is bearish on this. All the bad stuff was priced in. They had a bad quarter, they lost money, but it was not as bad as expected, and that was enough to lead to a 25% move higher in the stock is what we saw yesterday. So if this one can hold higher, also has a really large short interest, one to keep an eye on as a lower level type pattern. You know, this one hasn't really performed as well, but if you're looking for one that hasn't gone yet, that has a huge short interest and a lower level type pattern, SodaStream is, you know, maybe you could talk about the similarities between BlackBerry moving based on the WhatsApp purchase price and then SodaStream based on GMCR strength, because you saw Coca-Cola buy that 10% stake in GMCR for basically the same technology that SodaStream uses to hedge themselves in terms of making soda at home. SodaStream does the same thing and is a pioneer in that industry, but still hasn't really gone yet, but want to keep an eye on with huge short interest. I know some guys on the virtual trading floor have been taking a look at it. Talk about leadership sectors. The biotech sector, no question, is the leader right now, and it's sort of separated itself from the rest of the market. And it seems like every single day you get a different stock. We'll just pull up the IBB while I'm talking about it. It seems like every day a different stock emerges on the radar with a 40–50% move, sometimes even more than that. You've seen enormous moves here based on FDA approvals, based on research breakthroughs and stuff like that. You know, it's sort of hard to look at those stocks going up. Some people might kick themselves and say, man, if I could just have gotten a hold of some calls before that 50% move, I would have been sitting pretty. But those are not the ones that are really easy to catch, and nothing's really easy to catch, but some of the big cap names, some of the names that have already moved based on approvals or things like that, those are the ones you should be focusing on. And a great example of that is ICPT. ICPT had that well-publicized 500% move, 500+% move based on a research breakthrough with one of its drugs, but then it pulled all the way back into the 8-day moving average, and you had to be a little bit brave if you were just buying here back into the 8-day after that enormous volatility that we saw. But what we've seen since then is you've seen a wedge pattern form that it broke out of here. You've seen volatility calm down and give you, a little bit more calculated potential opportunity to get involved. So a nice wedge pattern there, and then what you saw recently, and I know people on the virtual trading floor were all over this yesterday, is you saw sort of a channel form up here too that allowed you a calculated entry. So these volatile names, yeah, you definitely don't want to be catching a falling knife or looking to chase stocks after these huge moves, but if you do get a calculated type consolidation, holding above its 8-day, allowing things to calm down a little bit, you can get a nice calculated move, and that's what we saw in ICPT. And then the big names in the group just continue to act very well. BIIB holding higher. I think this one could go higher. The strongest stocks in the market hold above their 8-day moving averages. We've seen it with Google. We're seeing it with a stock like IBB. Nice 4-day sideways consolidation here. See if it gets going above that. If not, more rest is healthy, and I think BIIB will continue to be one of the leaders in the group. GILD was Mark Sperling's trade idea of the week this week, and it's funny because you're in the virtual trading floor. People are seeing this one just sort of hang around base above its 8-day moving average, and people get fed up with it. They're like, this stock is crap. It's not moving up 10% in one day like a lot of the stocks that we're seeing in the stock market right now. And just overall what I'm seeing with traders right now is expectations are getting a little bit out of whack. Maybe it's just a product of their environment. We're seeing all these huge percentage moves in stocks that people are growing accustomed to. I remember some stock went up 7% the other day, and somebody described it to me as a decent gain, and that's just sort of, like I said, the environment that we're in. But my point is that GILD is holding up very well. Yes, it's not gotten the momentum this week as some of the big cap biotech names have rested, but still holding above its 8-day moving average, I think looks really healthy for another potential retest, another potential test of new highs. Another name that I've been talking about among this group is Alexion, another one that's just building a nice, tight, sideways consolidation above the 8-day moving average. I think it could continue to the upside, definitely after this period of rest was very constructive. Regeneron, another one of the big cap biotech names, holding above its 8-day, nice 3-day sort of pullback consolidation. Definitely one to keep an eye on. Some other names in the group that are smaller names. Prana, this is one that R. Durant, got to give him a shout out from the VTF, has been all over this one since the start of the year. It did have a really sharp pullback below all of its short-term moving averages, below the 58 and 21 day, but is woken up really nicely and is continuing higher. What I would like to see here is a little bit of sideways action, sideways consolidation. In these really hot stocks, you don't often get that, but it's okay not to be involved. It's better to not be involved than it is to chase. Yes, you might get higher prices here, but overall, I think you look for a base here in a name like Prana before you get involved there. JLT is one that moved on the ICPT news and is sort of the sister of that stock, also acting really well given the strength that we've seen in ICPT, putting in a nice little 2-day consolidation. I'd love to see the 8-day play a little bit of catch up to price, but overall another one that's looking really well within the biotech space. And I could go on and on and on about the biotech sector of stocks that have acted well, but if you're looking for more of that information, get on the VTF. I know a lot of guys, because of the strength in the sector, are focusing a lot on those stocks, and some names that emerge on the radar, you'll probably see those pop up in people's position windows on the VTF. I'll take a look at a few names in the XLF to see if any stand out. And the one that really stands out and has stood out for a long time among the banks is Bank of America. As you can see, a really defined triangle pattern here that a lot of the other bank names are not ones that I would looking to get long. There would maybe be ones that I would be looking to short bounces on. Goldman Sachs might fit that category, but Bank of America, nice upper level descending triangle, which is a bullish pattern. Closed on its highs yesterday, really constructive. So if it can get above 1660 here, I think you could see Bank of America get some legs and continue to lead the banks. And just a few quick hits, some names that have been on our radar. IRBT, one that I talked about back here in January and then in early February again. It held above its 200-day moving average very well before igniting here, and it's just continued higher with really nice percentage gains. Over the last 2 weeks or so, it's had a nice sideways consolidation. What I would love to see is a retest of this $40 area, which is the prior breakout area, but you don't always get what you want, especially with strong stocks. So if you want to be involved in IRBT, which is has the makings of becoming a momentum darling for 2014, it has the story, it has the name, it has all the makings of a stock that could definitely continue higher in 2014. But like I said, holding above the 8-day moving average, nice sideways consolidation. If you want to be involved, this is potentially a compelling area. FIO, a lower level pattern that we highlighted on off the charts. We highlighted this triangle pattern here, breaking above it. Finally got some commitment to the upside yesterday after being a little bit, close off its highs the last few days after breaking above our entry price. But yesterday got some commitment. See if that can continue higher. That's about it. I mean, there's a lot of other names you could talk about. There's just so many momentum names out there right now that take turns making big percentage moves, and especially this week, like I said, despite the lethargic action we've seen in the indices, tons of just huge percentage moves, and this is one of the best environments I've ever seen. I've been around this industry and this company for about 5 years, and I've seen all different types of market cycles come and go. I've seen environments where young traders come in and there's just not the volatility they need to learn and to take the next step as a trader. But now I'm seeing sort of young traders come into the business and be able to achieve success early on in the process because of the volatility that we're seeing and because the trend is very strong to the upside. And there have been some opportunities to short, but overall trend very strong to the upside, and I think that will continue to be the case now that we made new highs on the S&P. I think get some participation from some other sectors, and we could be off to the races again in the S&P. Maybe not to match the 30% gain that we saw in 2013, but I think as long as the trend stays intact, the trend is your friend, as I'm sure you've probably heard before, and that's the way we're going to continue to focus. This has been John Darcy here for the morning call. I'll see you back here for the daily recap.
I'm Mark Sperling, Director of Trading with T3 Trading Group and contributor to T3 Live. Do you trade on your own, but you wish you enjoyed the benefits of a large trading floor? With the T3 Live virtual trading floor, we deliver that experience to you on your computer. On the VTF, you can follow the long and short positions of experienced professional traders like myself, Scott Redler, and others, and listen to our live radio stations as we navigate the markets. In addition, you get the added value of a large community of sophisticated and like-minded traders. In my opinion, joining the room will be the best trading decision you will ever make. I would like to invite you to begin your membership with a 7-day free trial. To get started, visit t3live.com and click on the Virtual Trading Floor tab. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the VTF.